There was a time that the best way to teach your child about money and saving it was with a good old piggy bank. These days, though, you'd have a hard time finding the coins to fill it. We have slowly moved away from cold, hard cash, switching to the convenience of digital payments. Where does that leave the young ones in our lives? How young is too young to introduce them to something like a credit card? Kevin Maynard, Vice President, Chief Operating Officer for the Canadian Foundation for Economic Education, joins us this morning. Good morning, Kevin.
Good morning.
We know that fewer and fewer Canadians are using cash, opting for digital payments like credit cards, as I mentioned, or Apple Pay, e-transfers. So how do we start to teach our kids about money and how to save it?
Well, one of the important things is whenever we're trying to teach our kids anything, we try to do it in a way that makes sense for them in a real life example. So one of the things that we try to do is we try to start very early. In some of our resources, for example, our Talk with Our Kids About Money program, we have a really great activity that talks about three little pigs, and the three little pigs earn money, spend money, and share money. So what we encourage is building a foundation of knowledge that can increase as the young person ages, matures, and experiences life.
When you talk about real life, kids learn from their parents. I would have learned from my parents to see dollar bills exchanged, how to make change with coins. Real life is different now, isn't it?
Absolutely, absolutely. And you actually mentioned one of the biggest challenges that most parents now, they pay for things like groceries with their debit card, for example. So what we encourage parents to do is to talk about what is actually happening during that transaction. One of the best ways to do it, of course, is to actually use coins or currency in illustrating this value exchange that happens when we buy things. It is actually a good idea to revert back to currency when buying something very simple with your child. So, for example, going to the local corner store and buying something that the child likes, like a popsicle, for example. It would be a really good lesson to illustrate that exchange of currency for the popsicle. Do it once with currency, and then illustrate what happens with an ATM card, for example. So you could buy one popsicle using quarters, and then buy another popsicle using your debit card, and then go through a simple exercise to talk about the fact that when you buy with an ATM, you're actually using your own money from your bank account to buy that popsicle, so that they can equate the currency, the exchange of value, with what happens when you buy things with a debit card.
And obviously, young minds start to grow and understand things differently. So I'm sure in those really early years, the 4, 5, 6 years old, that makes sense. When do you start to make a transition to say, now you are going to maybe make your own money or receive an allowance? How do you introduce that conversation, and what does the saving tool look like there?
Well, again, it's always about illustrating exchange of value as something that is an important skill or concept in terms of knowledge that a young person needs to develop. One of the other activities in our Talk with Our Kids About Money program is something called a jobs jar. And in that jobs jar, for example, a parent would put a host of activities that might need to be done by family members during the course of a week. And every day when the family gets up, each child would have an opportunity to draw one of the jobs jar items from the jobs jar, and then do that activity and be rewarded with whatever type of reward that the parent deems appropriate, so that they can see that there's a relationship between work and the exchange of something of value. We always advocate for building conceptual building blocks of knowledge. And that would be a great way to start to talk about rewards and how that works for getting the things that you want. Again, as a young person matures, perhaps goes through high school, the concept of starting a savings account is a good one. And then again, illustrating that when you work, you put money in a savings account. You may spend some money, you may share some money, but that savings element can be used to link to the young person's goals, what they want to do, what they want to be, or what they want to have, and they would use money from that savings account to buy whatever that particular item was. And again, building on that concept as a young person goes through high school, thinking about things like a new pair of shoes, a bicycle, a new cell phone, for example. But using the savings account to illustrate that you have to save money, and then you make economic choices about what you want to spend that money on.
And how will I spend it? Will I spend it by going to the bank and getting money out for my child and giving it to them? Or will I tell them, now you have a debit card? And this is because this is that whole digital currency that we're moving to, or payments rather, that we're moving to. So will a child have a credit card, a debit card?
Normally, a credit card is not available for a young person that's under the age of majority unless a parent gets a number of cards for their children. But it is actually the parent's card because the young person can't get a credit card at that age. We do always encourage sort of that building block of knowledge. So I think once a young person understands what currency is and that it's an exchange of value, then you can graduate into using that bank account and either a debit card or a credit card. One of the advantages of both debit cards and credit cards that a parent can get for their child is that you can put limits on it. And you can also put transaction notifications on those debit cards and credit cards so that you can actually see what your child is actually spending money on. And that's actually a good way to monitor the decisions that a young person is making. And then you can adjust whatever strategy you have according to their spending habits.
It sounds like the bottom line, though, is just to be conversing about it, talking about it, having strategies, because some young kids, they end up leaving home and they really don't have a sense of how to monitor their spending, make sure they're saving, also maybe sharing with different nonprofit groups. So I think that sounds like the most important thing. Otherwise, you could be setting your young child up or young adult up for financial failure.
Absolutely. We always talk in our work about the philosophy of building both confidence and competence in making decisions. So confidence in our ability to make decisions that are right for us at whatever point in life that we are at. And then competence, the skills, developing the skills to make those decisions that are appropriate as we go through life. And it's a kind of a combination of both. It's building that confidence through experience and building the competence by using the tools and the knowledge that we gather through our life.
Great conversation, one that people should be having with their children, their grandchildren. Glad you had some time for us, Kevin.
Thank you so much.
Hey, so what did you want to talk about?
Well, I want to tell you about Wegovy.
Wegovy?
Yeah, Wegovy.
What about it?
On second thought, I might not be the right person to tell you.
Oh, you're not?
No, just ask your doctor about
Wegovy.
Yeah, ask for it by name.
Okay, so why did you bring me to this circus?
Oh, I'm really into lion tamers. You know, with the chair and everything.
Ask your doctor for Wegovy by name. Visit wegovy.ca for savings. Exclusions may apply.